Today's lesson we're learning subtracting rational numbers. We're going to have to remember all the stuff we applied to adding rational numbers to the subtraction. So the subtraction rule is to subtract a number, add its opposite. So what we did in the first one, it's 3 minus 5. And what we did is we turned this minus into a plus, and we turned it into a negative 5. So if you look, this is what it looks like. And then we use the addition rules, so they're opposite signs, so we subtract them, and 5 is bigger, so it would be negative 2. The next one, we have 3 minus negative 5, so we're going to add, make it a plus sign, and the opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. So, like we did right here, and 3 plus 5 is 8. On the last one, we have negative 3 minus 5, so I add the opposite of positive 5, which is negative 5. So it's negative 3 plus negative 5, which equals negative 8. All right, at the bottom we have, if the signs are different, subtract them and then put the higher number sign in the answer. Now, that was the same idea as we had for the addition rules. If they have the same sign, you add them up. If they have different signs, you subtract them and put the higher numbers sign. So, example 3, we're skipping example 1 and 2. And we're going to go right to example 3. We're going to use the rule that we just learned. So I'm going to take the subtraction sign and I'm going to turn it into addition. And then I turn the number that's after the subtraction sign and turn it to its opposite. So it's negative 9, so it's going to be a positive 9. So now I have negative 4 plus positive 9. They are different signs. They are different signs. So we are going to subtract. So I'm going to do 9 minus 4, which equals 5. And then I see which one's the bigger number. 9 is bigger, and it is now a positive. So your answer would be 5. B. Again, I'm turning your subtraction sign into a plus sign, and I turn 2 into the opposite, which is negative 2. So now we have the same sign, so I'm going to add the numbers. So it's going to be 6 plus 2, and it's going to equal 8. And both signs are negative, so it's going to be a negative 8. C. Again, make it a plus sign, make it an addition sign, and turn the negative 4 into a positive. So now it's 8 plus 4. They're both the same sign, so we're going to add them. 8 plus 4, and that equals 12, and they're both positive, so your answer is going to be 12. 3.7, I'm going to make it minus a negative 4.3. I'm going to turn it into addition problem and make it a positive 4.3. So it's going to be 3.7 plus 4.3. That's 10. Bring down the decimal. And 4 plus 3 is 7 plus 1 is 8. So, and they're both positive, so your answer is just 8.0. Ooh, we have fractions. So we take our minus sign and make it a positive, and we take the second one and it's a negative, so we're going to make it a positive 2. So now it's 3/4 plus 11/12. If you remember correctly, when you add or subtract fractions, you need to have a common denominator. And if you have to make a common denominator, you have to multiply the bottom and the top if you need to. Well, I know 4 goes into 12, so I'm going to have my common denominator be 12. I'm going to put a plus sign. And what do I multiply 4 by to get 12? Well, 3. So I can multiply the top by 3, which makes it 9. And 11 twelfths can stay the same. Then I add them together, so it's 20 twelfths. There are 2 ways to do it from here. You can reduce them ahead of time. I know that 4 goes into both, so divide by 4. So it would be 5 thirds, and then figure out how many times 3 goes into 5, which is 1, and 2 thirds left over. Or you can divide first. 12 goes into 20 one time. There's 8 left over, and then I would reduce it. 4 goes into both, so it would be 1 and 2 thirds. So either way will work when you do it. Notice I kept the denominator the same on this one and this one before I reduced. Example 4. We have some absolute values. So you're going to do the absolute value signs are kind of like brackets. So you're going to do what's inside the absolute value first. So 5 minus 11 is 5 plus negative 11. They're opposite signs, so we're going to subtract them. So it's going to be 11 minus 5 is 6, but it's a negative 6 because of the 11 is bigger. And the absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6. B. I'm going to make this a plus sign and a negative. They're opposite signs, so we're going to subtract them. 8 minus 7 is 1. Notice I let the absolute value signs be bigger than the 1. 8 is bigger, so it's going to be a positive. And absolute value of 1 is 1. Remember, absolute value means how far something is from 0. There's no negative unless the negative is on the outside of the absolute value sign. C, negative 10, and then I make it a plus and a plus, so it's plus 4. Again, negative 10 and positive 4, they're opposite signs, so we're going to subtract them. So 10 minus 4 is 6. And it's going to be a negative 6 because 10 is a negative. And the absolute value of negative 6 is 6. D. 7 minus 8, so it's going to become 7 plus negative 8. Again, they're opposite signs. So it's going to be 8 minus 7 is 1. And 8 is bigger than 7, and it's got a negative, so it's going to be negative 1. And the absolute value of negative 1 is 1. Hopefully you understand that. Let's try the next one. Example 5. All right. Again, you're going to substitute the numbers in for the variables. That's what evaluate means. So it's going to be r is negative 7, so you're going to go negative 7 minus, and t is negative 2. And then I'm going to make it a addition sign. And negative opposite of negative 2 is positive 2. So now we have negative 7 plus positive 2, so they're opposite signs, so we're going to subtract them. And so it's 7 minus 2, which is 5. And then 7 is bigger, and it's a negative. So there's your answer. B. we have -2 minus -7. Again, we're going to make it an addition problem, so I'm going to make this a plus sign and this a positive number. Again, they're opposite signs again, so it's going to be 7 minus 2, which is 5. But this time the 7 is a positive and it's bigger, so you're going to leave it just 5. We have negative without the t. Now we're going to add the t in, which is -2, and then a minus sign, and then in parentheses minus 7, -7. Now I need to change it around. I have these two negatives, a negative and a negative make it positive. It's just a rule. And a plus sign and make the opposite here, so that's a positive. So now it's 2 plus 7. And 2 plus 7 is 9. And they're both positives. So let's try the next one. I have a negative in front of the r, and then r is -7 minus. And in parentheses I have a negative on the outside of t, so there's a negative there, and then a parenthesis again, and t is -2, and then 2 sets of parentheses. So we can bring these two together, and that makes them positive, and I can bring these together, and that makes it a positive. So what we have now is 7 plus -2. Again, they're opposite signs, so it is 5. And it's a positive 5 because 7 is bigger than... Okay. 6. Stock price. Find the closing price of stock on Wednesday by subtracting the change in the price from the closing on Thursday. So I have Thursday thing, and it will be 32.79. Closing price for Thursday is 32.79. And then it says by subtracting Wednesday's change. And this is the change they're talking about. I think we're doing XYZ, sorry. XYZ. Let's change that around. It is 17.37. And we're subtracting the change, which is -8.87. So now we have to turn it into an addition problem. I'm going to make it an addition problem. And then the opposite of -0.87 is positive 0.87 or 0.87 or 87 hundredths, whatever you want to call it. Now we're going to add them together because they're both positive. So it's going to be 7.37 or 7 and 37 hundredths, 17 and 37 hundredths plus 87 hundredths. So 14, 12, bring down the decimal, 8 and 1. So the closing price on Wednesday was 18.24 or 18 and 24 hundredths or $18.24. All right, see you later. Bye.